Nintendo is clearly getting tired of these leaks because we have new information today that Nintendo could have been lying to us this whole time, and not technically lying to us, rather lying to these leakers in order to point out the rat of the company. Who's leaking all this information and how is all this happening? Because goodness gracious, it seems like the whole year's already leaked from Nin10doland alone. Now Nin10doland is an extremely reliable insider that has gotten pretty much everything correct. When he brings it up, it's pretty much gospel, it's going to happen. And he pretty much just came out and said pretty much the whole year has been slated. He knows that there's going to be an Ocarina of Time remake later on this year. Splatoon Raiders and Fire Emblem are coming in the summer. He said there will be a new Star Fox game announced this month and released sometime this summer. He also said there will be some type of new Switch Sports and even a Pikmin 4 Switch 2 edition. Yeah, he kind of unloaded the chamber and pretty much just leaked all Nintendo's 2026 plans pretty much. So this comes from a good buddy of mine and friend of the channel, Nintendo Prime, and he came out on Twitter the other day and stated, "I've now heard from 7 different people that Nintendo has officially employed the spread some fake info internally to try and discover who's leaking information. This isn't the first time they have done this. It failed to catch any of Nin10doland's sources last time. This might be in reaction to the latest leaks, or it might just be routine for them yearly. I suspect internal Nintendo leaks to go silent for a bit. This is fairly standard practice." Now, he didn't expect this to go viral because it's something that obviously happens in the industry all the time. Nintendo has actually done this in the past, and what's funny is Nintendo has done this in the past with something like Star Fox. They made a fake leak back in 2020 during quarantine about a game called Star Fox Grand Prix, and they even had logos and stuff and a whole image with even, some writing on it. It was pretty realistic, but it turned out to be obviously Nintendo just searching for leakers. But what's funny is I don't think this really made things any better, because I feel like leaks started getting worse right after that. Remember Pioro, who came into the scene around 2021 all the way until like 2023, where he leaked things like a brand new 2D Mario with Mario Wonder down to every little detail of that first trailer, and even things like Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door he had information about getting that remake. So I'm sure sometimes these tests Nintendo holds are pretty valuable, and obviously they probably get some people, but at the same time, I haven't seen real growth from Nintendo. I mean, for crying out loud, the entire Nintendo Switch 2 leaked months before it actually came out. In fact, it was almost up to a year when we started getting information about the thing. The last 2 to 3 years has been the most I've ever seen Nintendo's games and information leak. It's actually insane. And I'm not gonna lie, when this Nin10doland podcast went live, I expected maybe a game or two that he was gonna talk about, and he kind of just dropped information on the entirety of the year, along with a little bit of next year, talking about 3D Mario being delayed from this holiday and pushed to next year, and the fact that he's getting a new Star Fox game soon, on top of new Switch Sports and a Pikmin 4 Switch 2 edition, and just so much stuff. It made me really start to question, like, is there something seriously wrong at Nintendo for this stuff to be leaking like this? I mean, this just isn't normal. Normally we get a game or two or something, or like, a word of mouth of something, but for Nin10doland, somebody that's extremely reliable to just be coming up and saying, hey, this is happening, this is happening, this is happening. And for Pioro to come out a couple of years ago and say, hey, Mario Wonder is a thing, and there's going to be an elephant power-up, and there's a caterpillar character, obviously talking about Prince Florian. It was just like, it was crazy. And it's also crazy the type of stuff that's leaking, like a new 2D Mario's actually getting leaked. Like, how do we even have information on the next 3D Mario possibly getting internally delayed and moved to next year? Like, you would think they would have that stuff completely under wraps, so it must be someone really high up, really close, leaking this information, which is scary. So obviously Nintendo cannot be happy about this stuff, and I do wonder if ever since Nin10doland's podcast, they're like, hey, we need to start cracking down right now, and started making up stuff. Or did they start making up some rumors before Nate's podcast? Because now a lot of people are questioning, are we still getting a Star Fox game revealed this month and releasing this summer? Are we still getting another Switch Sports or a Switch 2 edition of Switch Sports? Are we still getting a Pikmin 4 Switch 2 edition? And is 3D Mario really still coming next year instead of this year? Who knows anymore? And we hear so many times how Nintendo hates leaks. This stuff is detrimental to them. They want to be the ones to announce their games, not these random leaks and stuff. And I completely get that. Obviously, anybody, whether it be the gaming industry, the movie industry, whatever it may be, will suffer pretty badly from leaks. But it's hard to blame anybody but Nintendo. I've seen a lot of people on Twitter actually getting mad at Nin10doland for leaking pretty much the entire year. Things like the Zelda Ocarina of Time remake for later on this year really made people upset because they would have really loved to find that out themselves. But at the same time, look, he's just giving information on something Nintendo won't. I don't understand why people are upset with him only and not Nintendo. Leaks are always going to happen, and we've been hearing things like the Ocarina of Time remake for a very long time now. But literally, Nin10doland waited until middle of April, beginning of April, to release all this information about this stuff. Nintendo has had all year to give us a Nintendo Direct to announce some of these games, and they just refuse. And when they keep, this is what's going to happen. And if they keep waiting, it's going to keep getting worse. It is April, and Nintendo has not had a general Nintendo Direct since September of last year. This is the issue. Nintendo has games, and if Star Fox still is real, they can't blame anybody but themselves. With a brand new Star Fox game coming this summer, and Star Fox not having a game since Zero on the Wii U, why in the world would Nintendo want to wait this long to reveal something like a Twitter drop of a brand new Star Fox game in the middle of April? It just doesn't make sense. It's some of the weirdest marketing I've ever seen from Nintendo. Now, I'll talk about their actual marketing and their lack of communication in another video, but I'll just give you kind of a little basis of just what's been going on. And it's not just the fact that Nintendo's not having Nintendo Directs, it's just they're not talking about things. We still don't have a clue about what the heck Splatoon Raiders is. This game was announced in the summer of last year, so we're coming up on a year, and Nintendo didn't even really give us anything in that first reveal. It was just like, here's the name of the game, and here's some like small little shots of an island. Like, that's all we had. And if Nin10doland is to be trusted, which I don't see why he wouldn't be so far, this game is coming out this summer, which is in just a couple of months. Why is Nintendo taking so long to talk about it? Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave is also a game that's apparently coming this summer, which makes sense. I mean, we didn't even need Nate to tell us that. It just sounds right. And they still haven't given us a second trailer or anything since last September. This is the stuff that I'm talking about. Nintendo finally, after over a year, decided to give us information on Rhythm Heaven Groove, which is still a Switch 1 game, by the way. But yes, after a year, they finally gave us an update, which was literally just a 30-second segment of one of the minigames, which if you ever played Rhythm Heaven, there are tons of minigames because they're short little fun rhythm-themed minigames. So they gave us one look at one minigame and then dropped a release date, and that's all we got. It's just weird. Like I said, there's gonna be leaks, but almost all of this stuff is completely avoidable if they just had a February Nintendo Direct, or shoot, one in March, or at this point, one this month in April. But once again, according to Nin10doland, he has not heard of any sort of general Nintendo Direct coming before the month of June. And dude, if this does turn out to be a ploy from Nintendo to sniff out the leakers, I will be so freaking upset that this would be the second time Nintendo has used Star Fox to make up fake games to find leakers, because use anything else. Why is Star Fox, this franchise that's already kind of in the dump, that needs a revival, and you keep using it to give fans hope, and it doesn't turn out to be true? It's so frustrating. And I can't help but wonder if there was some truth to this, because Nintendo had an interview where apparently Illumination was the ones that came to Nintendo and asked them to put Star Fox in the Mario movie, and they weren't really going to do that at first until Illumination brought it up and gave them a good plot point for it, which is scary, because then I'm like, okay, so this wasn't planned to come alongside a game, was it? Because wouldn't Nintendo automatically wanted Star Fox in this regardless? I don't know. I know game development is different from movies, and you start developing games sometimes 7 to 8 years in advance. So I know it's just sometimes the way things line up works, sometimes it doesn't. I get that, but still, it does make me wonder, was this planned at all from Nintendo? Are they actually, behind this Star Fox leak that's not even real? I really hope Star Fox gets announced regardless, because daggone it, man, we are due. Right now, the only Switch 2 game we have with a release date is Yoshi the Mysterious Book, and that game's looking fine, but we still also don't even have much information on that game either. It's still just strange to me why they won't have a Direct, because it feels like genuinely the perfect time, which sometimes they even used to have Directs when it didn't feel like this, but there's so many games that they could just give information on. They don't even have to reveal too many new ones at this point in time, and I think a lot of people would come out of this Direct thinking it's a really good show. But even if we don't get a Direct, please give us some information in the next couple of weeks. We are due for some info on some of these upcoming games. Thankfully, there's been some, new ratings listed for Splatoon Raiders and even Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave, which normally means it's about ready to go and, near probably some information to come out about it. So hopefully this week or next week we can get some information on either the Star Fox game, Splatoon Raiders, or Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave, something, because oh my gosh, I feel like Nintendo fans right now are dying for info. Oh, it's so weird. But let me know what you think down below. What do you think Nintendo should do to get rid of these leaks? Do you think they should just have more presentations, or, get a little bit better at tracking down who's leaking these things? Do you even like leaks, or do they ruin the experience for you? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe before you head out, and I hope you all have a blessed rest of your Sunday. See ya, guys.